So the 80-20 rule, the way I look at it, there's two parts of how I look at it actually. One is the traditional concept that 80% of your business or success will come from 20% of the time you put in or the activities or the focus. And the other 80-20 rule that I love is how I believe this idea of perfection, of 100%, is holding a lot of agents back from their output, hitting the go button, just picking up the phone because they think they need to get everything right before they can make a phone call even. So I use 80-20 rule for that as well, saying if you're 80% there, just go for it. Don't let that 20% hold you back. So I think 80-20 applies to real estate in both of those ways. You've got to look at what you should be spending the bulk of your time on, what your core activities might be, and then also how do you know when it's ready just to go without that 100%. There's a model that I really work towards with anybody that I coach or train or mentor, and that is the whole concept of starting from core. Core to me, I believe the model I use, there's three kind of levels to it, and right in the centre, the very core activities of what an agent should be doing, there's only one thing in there, and that is talking to people. And that to me, when I say talking to people, it's about developing relationships, creating opportunities. It's the talk time that delivers opportunities. So to me, that's in core. And then there are two other rings outside of that which will come from the core activities. So if you talk to enough people, the next level of the model is that then you're face-to-face with either buyers at buyer appointments or appraisal appointments or listing presentations. That's the next level. And then outside of that is everything else that has to happen. Photo shoots, door knocking, letterbox dropping, all those other activities are at the very extreme of the core model. So if you just focus on that middle bit, there's not a lot in there, get that right, and the rest happens. It's actually really simple. I guess when you're looking at, the conversations and who you should be speaking to and how does the 80-20 relate to that? To me, 20% of the people that you talk to, the strategy around who they are, again, we need to be very focused on what criteria wraps around that. So number one for me is somebody who owns a property in your area. If you work a core area for yourself as an agent, like a patch or a farming area. The people who own in that area are your number one focus point. From that, you then need to look at the buyers who are actually active in the marketplace. Meaning, they're at open homes, but are they just researching for a year or two down the track, or are they at open homes actively making offers, attending auctions, investing in due diligence to try and purchase something? So for me, it would be those owners of property plus buyers who are actually in that serious 0 to 90 day stage of their buying. And if you just focus on that 20% group most of the time, so many opportunities come from that, where I feel that 80% of the time, agents are spending time on the others. They haven't categorised them, they don't know how to pull the smaller group out of their database to focus on it, and so they're getting lost with who they're spending their time on. When it comes to figuring out who that group is, for me, number one, and this is something that I find really interesting, and I was taught this years ago, that at an open home, one of the key questions I used to ask at the door, or whoever's in my team on the door, is asking the address of the person who's coming through the door, and literally getting their full address. And I know some agents go, I get suburb or I get postcode. And for example, when I worked at a core area, I only had 11 streets, and there were about 1,150 dwellings, but in 11 streets. So imagine this, Sam, you're coming into my open home and I ask you your address, and you give me an address which, bingo, it's right in my core area. I now know that you're someone that I need to follow up with persistence, not just call once or maybe twice, but follow you up with persistence, because here you are, what's happening? And I use this term of get curious. I just feel if you get curious about anyone you meet and try and understand a bit about them, who they are, where they live, what they're doing, you can get the information you need to know, is this somebody I should be tracking in a consistent way? So I think that would be the number one thing, is really try and identify where they live. Second thing is really just asking about what those buying activities look like for the person that you're meeting as a buyer, whether it's on an inquiry or at an open home. Where are they at in their buying cycle? Because there's really 4 stages to that. So you've got to identify, are they at stage 2, which is actually making offers and missing out on things but persisting. So those two things alone will give you enough people to work with, I believe.